Hello, welcome to this live. If you have just joined or if you are joining and you do not know, this live is part of our online trade show and I'm going to be sharing with you something brand new from Elegance. Before we get into that, I'm just going to remind you all that our online trade show runs until midnight tonight. So you have until midnight tonight on the UK website to get 20% off your order. The code is PRO20. Just pop that in at checkout. It'll get you 20% off of your order. While I allow people to continue to join, I'm just going to introduce myself in case you don't know who I am. And then we'll get into the crux of it, the bit that everybody wants to see, which is the brand new products from Ellie. Hi, Connie. So for those of you that are just joining and you have no idea who I am, or maybe you think you know who I am, but you don't know much about me, my name is Jojo and I am the co-founder, co-owner of Elegance UK. So we run the distribution, myself and Layla. Layla, you may have seen yesterday on the Zippy e-file live, which was super informative. I recommend everybody to go and watch that one. We run the UK and Ireland distribution together. But I've been a nail tech for, I think it's over 21 years now, which is slightly terrifying. But yes, believe it or not, 21 years. And I've been using Elegance now for almost 10 years. I discovered the brand because I became basically allergic to anything else. And I had a brand that I could use without having reactions, but I couldn't be as creative as I was used to being with previous brands. And so I was still on the hunt for something else, and that's when Elegance was recommended to me. I tried some samples of the product at the time and put it on a few trusted clients, you know, the ones that you can give, they will give you honest feedback, and every single one came back and refused to have anything else on their nails, and that was it. I was hooked. They've never been able to get rid of me since. I became an educator a year later, and then, like I say, myself and Layla, we took the leap and took on the distribution. Just over 2 years ago, we launched now. So yes, we launched our education this year. So any questions, please fire them away at me, because I have all of this knowledge up here and I'm ready to share. But, of course, the reason you are all here today is to see the brand new launch from Ellie, which are the brand new JimmyGel Sheer Colours, which are launching very, very soon. I am just going to preface this because I feel like people are potentially thinking that they're launching today. I'm going to burst your bubble. They will be open for pre-order on Friday. Okay, so if you've been waiting to see if you can get them as part of the online trade show, they will not be available until Friday. So if you've been holding off on that order, definitely get that order in by midnight tonight so you get that 20% online trade show discount. You can just enjoy this live, take on all the information. I can't wait to show you them. There are different ways you can use them depending on how you like to work. So I really hope that you get a lot from this live, and I think it's going to be really informative. So without further ado, I'm going to spin you around because you don't want to be seeing me, you want to be seeing the newness. So let's get cracking. Right, let me get you in position. I will also then switch my other lights on, because if I had those on at the beginning, I would have been blinded. So let's switch those on, and hopefully can everyone see? Hopefully you can all see well enough. So we have our 4 JimmyGels. I'll just move my tips out of the way first. So we have 4 JimmyGel colours as part of this release, and they are all sheers. Now, you may have seen the content that's just started coming out within the last couple of hours on these, but I am going to take you through each of the colours, and then I'm also going to show you some nail art, because if you have spotted these, you will kind of have an inkling that potentially they will be quite good for some lovely Tortie nails. So that is what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that you can use them, because these are JimmyGel, so you can build with them, but I know for some of you, you're also not going to necessarily want to build with them because you prefer to put decoration on the top surface of the nail. So you can really make these work for you depending on how you personally like to work. Is the lighting okay? Because I'm paranoid that it's looking a bit dark, but it may just be my screen on my phone. Can everyone see okay? Nail Crafting says, I'm going to read out your questions as they come in so that when people watch this live back, when it's saved, they know what I'm answering, because the comments don't appear when we save it. Nail Crafting says, it's scrolling up. I've been a little bit confused why these shears weren't released as P+ and in a builder instead. So, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. When I first got these, I was a little bit confused by them. I wasn't really sure where they sat in the mix of everything, but actually now I've played with them, I totally get it. Because if you are like me and you've done tortoiseshells before, you've done marble nails before, for me personally, I prefer to build those layers within the structure of the nail. And if these were in P+, I would not be able to do that. So I was slightly confused when I got them, but as soon as I started playing with them and understanding them, they really kind of came into their own. And I'm going to show you how you can use them on the top surface anyway. So if you do prefer to use them as more of like a polish style of product, you can do. It means that they are versatile for everybody's way of working, essentially, rather than having a product that is restricted only to being placed onto the top surface. So we have, I'm getting too excited, I'm picking up like multiple bottles at a time. We have Sheer Amber, which is this kind of golden yellowy shade. We have Sheer Black, which as the name suggests is a sheer black. It looks quite solid on the top, but you'll see when I apply it, it is very sheer. And then we have Sheer Brown, which is very much a kind of warm yellowy brown. Again, you'll see when we come to apply it, it's another really good one for Torties. And then we have Sheer Sparkle, which is a clear JimmyGel with some nice sparkle through it. So, without further ado, I am just kind of keeping tabs of the comments, but there is like so many comments already. This is so exciting. For clients who don't have build-up, prefer just a gel polish. I see where you're coming from. I guess it's, yeah, like I say, I wouldn't actually do this type of technique with a gel polish generally. So, yeah, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just here doing my thing. Some people are saying it is a bit dark. I don't know why it's dark. I have 3 lights going on, so it doesn't make much sense, but hopefully when we get started you'll see a bit more. When are they available to buy? As I mentioned at the very beginning, they will be available for pre-order on Friday, 6 p.m. Right, there is so many comments. I'm just going to get started because I feel like if I read all the comments, I'm literally never going to get the opportunity to show you any. So while things are curing, I'll kind of scroll back through the comments. So first of all, I'm just going to show you how these apply. I'm going to show you what a sheer application looks like, so just painted on, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like when it's built up. So I'm working on tips here, so excuse the like blue tack in the background, but you hopefully will still get the idea. So my theory on it is that the reason that they've done these in JimmyGel rather than P+ is so that you have the versatility to use them either within the structure or over the top surface of the nail. And I would say that for the most part, Light Elegance customers are generally building some kind of a structure. It's less common that LE customers are using just a standard gel polish. And it's not to say that people aren't using P Plus as a gel polish, but it's just less popular. So that is sheer amber as one sheer layer. And then we can add a little bit more product to build up the structure. I did just spot a comment about what mil these bottles are. These bottles are the same size as JimmyGels, so they are huge. They are 15 ml size bottles, and that's it with the second coat. So you can see it's still got that real glassy sheerness, even when you're building it up with a little bit of a structure. So you do have the versatility of being able to use these within the structure without losing that glassiness. Right, I'm just going to stick that in the lamp while we carry on with the colours. I'm going to go for sheer black. So again, I'm just going to apply a layer first so you can see what it looks like if it is painted on. And then also built up. You can also layer these, so here I'm just kind of showing you one layer, but if I was to apply a second layer, you're going to get a little bit more depth without adding like extra structure. And then again, just add a little bit more product for the structure. And you can see we get a bit more coverage there. So that is sheer black. I'm going to pop that in my lamp. And yes, the new bottles. So this is the way all of the colours will come now. So they will match your P Plus beautifully. And then they have the colour window at the top, which means that when they're in your drawer, you can see the colours really well without having to like check the colour of the actual bottle itself. So you'll gradually see that the JimmyGel colours, the pinky ones, will all come in this style of bottle soon. We then have our sheer brown. So again, I will just apply a thin kind of slip layer first so you can see the depth of colour. They are very, like, that's the word I would use, is glassy. They're very sheer with that one layer. Or you can build it up, or as I'm going to show when I do my Tortie, you can layer these with other colours in order to get a little bit more coverage but still getting that nice sheer look. There we go. So that is sheer brown. I will pop that in my lamp, and of course once they're all out I can show you them all next to each other so you can really see what they look like. And then the last but not least we have is sheer sparkle. So this is a clear with a sparkle. So this is a great one if you've got clients that love, for example, Dusty Rose, if they love Lady Pink, Precious, Ideal Pink, anything like that, then this is a great one to then be able to layer if they want to add that sparkle that we ordinarily have in, for example, the Sparkling Rosé and Cappuccino Shimmer. And again, you can either do that as one layer or you can build it up in the structure. Right, I'm going to pop that in the lamp, take out, oh, not that one, take out my sheer black, and then once those ones are done, I can then show you them all side by side. Oh, that wasn't a wise thing to do. I'm still not happy with my lighting today. I don't know what is going on. Right, let's have a look, see what comments we've got while we wait for those ones to cure. Autumn Lane Beauty says, this would be gorgeous as a blue ocean nails. I'm guessing you're requesting for a JimmyGel blue. This is my assumption. TCI Nails says, these are crystal clear. I'd love to see lots of different colour versions of these. Debbie loves the colour window. Autumn Lane Beauty loves the black. TCI says, these will be so versatile for so many different dimensional designs. Yes, absolutely. I'm actually dying to do a black quartz. I think that would look amazing with this sheer black. Okay, so here we have the range of colours. So we've got sheer amber, we've got sheer black, sheer brown and sheer sparkle. So I'm now going to go in and I'm going to show you a couple of different methods of torties, because there are so many possibilities with these colours, but I truly believe that the one that we are all mega excited for is the tortie nail, because it's something that we've all been doing. We've been having to like custom mix colours so that we can create that kind of tortie look. So I've used two different methods on these. These ones I have built into the surface of the nail, and then these two I have done as if they're on the top surface of the nail, so more of like a surface decoration. So I'm going to show you both, because then depending on how you like to work, you've got an option there for you. Personally, I am somebody that loves to build things into the structure. I've always built like torties, marbles into structure. I love a French ombre built into a structure. I love a reverse French. It's just something that I'm a little bit passionate about, if you can't tell. But if you are somebody that just enjoys putting their decoration on the top of the nail, you don't want to be faffing about with like filing through the majority of the structure to be able to then rebalance and do something else. If speed is your game and it's just a case of getting the clients in and out, then these options are going to be probably more so suitable to the way that you like to work. And these are just two ways that I am going to show you. There are so many ways to use these, and we've got some reels coming up that have been made by our brand ambassadors, our educators, and you'll really see that everyone has kind of found their own preferred way of using them. So when you get them, try what I show you today. Check out the reels that are coming over the next couple of days. Try them like that. You will find a way that works best for you and that you enjoy working with them the most. So they can be a little bit, I think because of that, they can be a little bit overwhelming when you first get them, because you're not maybe sure where to start. But once you get the hang of them and you understand how they work, layering over other colours and what they do to colours underneath them, then you'll have a good basis to then move forward and create endless looks that your clients will love. So no matter what kind of tone they come in with, you've got an option for them. So for this nail, it's definitely darker today. I don't know why. It's very strange. So for this nail, I have used Farm Fresh as the base, so just a thin layer of this. Oh my word, I was obviously feeling strong the day I closed out. So I've used a layer of Farm Fresh. I've followed that with a layer of Sheer Amber, and then I've created my started creating my marble. I've then built with Sheer Amber, and then I've added my black details. So I'm just trying to decide whether I use Farm Fresh. I think I'm going to use Farm Fresh, but instead of using amber, I'm actually going to use the brown, so that we can see what a difference it makes to the base of the Tortie. So let's get crack-a-lacking. I'm going to grab my gel polish brush, make sure it's not a white one. If you have our gel polish brushes, you will know, no, that's my shimmer brush. Anyone else? I have multiple brushes. They've all got different things on the end of them to tell me which one it is, but do I look at that? Absolutely not. Right, I think I've got the right one. Okay, just my standard gel polish bling brush. And I'm just going to give that a little bit of a stir. I just find when I'm doing a very thin layer, if I've kind of given it a bit of a mix first, it tends to go on a little bit smoother. So this is going to be a Tortie that is built within the structure of the nail, okay? So just imagine you've prepped the nail, you have applied your primer, your bonder, and you've applied a base layer of gel. Okay, so that could be JimmyGel, Skinny Jimmy, could be a Lexiline gel if your client needs something with a little bit more strength and hardness to it. So I'm just going to apply a really thin layer all the way over. So it's not fully covered, but it's nice and even and it's semi-sheer. So I'm going to pop that into my and let that cure. And then, as I say, on the one that I did when I was kind of testing this out, I used the Sheer Amber, but I'm going to use the Sheer Brown because I'm intrigued to see what a difference it makes to the overall tone of the tortoiseshell. Where am I? Sheer Brown. Right, let's see, do I have any questions on here? Right. I know Layla's here, she's answering some of the questions, so if I don't see your question, chances are she's probably getting to you before I am. Okay, so Sheer Brown, I'm going to apply this all the way over this nail, and although you may think that side by side when they are on a clear tip they look very similar, you can see when they go over, when it goes over this orange, you can see it definitely looks more brown, and this is why I wanted to try it, because I'm intrigued to see what it does to the overall finish of the nail, if it does make it pull a little bit more brown. And then I like to take a bit of the sheer black, so I haven't cured that layer yet. I'm going to take a bit of that sheer black and I'm just going to kind of blotch the black randomly over the nail. And I'm then going to take a small oval brush. So this is different to the oval bling brush. So you can see it's a little bit shorter, so it's a little bit more dense. And I am just going to kind of swipe through some of the colour, just so that it's not kind of harsh and it just almost looks like shadows. Okay, so I'm going to stop there and I'm going to put that straight in the light and let that cure. These JimmyGels cure for 60 seconds, just as all Light Elegance products. And then I like to add a little bit more definition, a little bit more shadow in with Please Be Seated. This is a red brown, but it works really, really nicely in the tortoiseshell because it does give it that kind of warmth that you would expect from a Tortie. It's really, I don't know if you can tell, it's really bothering me that my lighting is not doing what it would normally do. Don't know if that is any better, probably doesn't look any different. Right, let's take that one out. So this is what we have so far. And then on my brush, I'm just going to take a tiny amount. I've not agitated this one because I want it to be quite kind of precise. So I'm just going to, with the side of the brush, just again kind of splodge it randomly on the nail, and then using the flat of the brush, I'm just going to kind of pat over those areas. I'm just looking to kind of add areas of colour. I'm not looking for any particular shape anywhere. Just add a little bit more there. So just very, very random. And then I'm going to put that into the light. Pop that away. And then once that's cured, I'm going to come back in with the sheer brown, and I'm going to build a little bit of structure over the top. Yeah. Right, so let's see if we've got any extra questions. Angela says that sheer brown is her favourite. I do love a sheer brown, but I do find it depends on what colour I'm using as a base as to which one I tend to grab. My top tip, if you're using a brown base, go with sheer amber over the top because it brings out the warmth. And I'll show you the difference on my nails because I use drizzle, and the difference between what it looks like ordinarily to when it's got the sheer amber over the top is quite amazing. And that's the other thing, you can just use these over a colour if you want to slightly tweak the tone of a colour, which is also pretty cool. So I'm going to apply a slip layer all the way over this. And then, again, a little bit extra for the structure. Just making sure I've got those sides in. I mean, it just self-levels like an absolute dream. I'm going to put that into the lamp to cure. And when that comes out, I am going to apply black tie. So to apply this, I'm going to use one of our stylus. I never quite know how to say that. Styluses. That sounds odd. I'm going to use the number 2 stylus, which is the smallest one that has a ball on the end. The difference between this and the number 1 is that the number 1 has no ball on the end. So I want to cover a little bit more space on these ones, so I'm going to use the number 2. That way I've got a little bit more space, but it's not as, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not as big as the number 3. Right, I'm going to take my black tie. I'm going to dip the stylus in there. And I'm going to start again adding. It's so annoying. It looks so dark. So frustrating. It doesn't look on the camera like it looks in real life. Right, I'm going to start adding. So I generally like to kind of start at the edge somewhere, because if you were to, you know, look at a real bit of tortoiseshell, the pattern isn't just in the middle, and it makes it look far more realistic if you've got areas at the edges. So if there's any areas that I don't particularly like from the shadowing on the previous layer, I'm going to put my black over that. If there's an area where I think, oh, it's a bit too like orange or yellow, I'm going to a bit of black over there and gradually build up the pattern. And try not to be too kind of OCD and perfectionist about it, which I know is really difficult. As nail techs, we are renowned for being very much perfectionists in this world, but we have to try not to be. So I like to then just have a look at it kind of from the sides. Is there anything maybe I want to add in when I look from the side view? And then look from the other side. Maybe I just want to add a couple more splotches there. And then I'm going to put that into the lamp. It's very bizarre. I'm so confused by this light, but anyway. Okay, Autumn Lane's saying it doesn't look dark, so maybe it's just my screen. I do think sometimes it does this thing where when I'm live, it darkens the light of the screen, so it saves your battery. So hopefully you can all see much better than I can see. Right, once that's cured, I'm then going to go in, because I don't know if you can see that it has added a little bit of texture, adding that black tie on the top with the stylus. So I like to go in with a very thin layer of Skinny Jimmy and apply that over first, just so I can get a nice smooth finish. Because I know that with Super Shiny you can obviously smooth out the surface somewhat, but what I do find is when I'm doing a technique like this and I've got unevenness over all of the nails consistently, by the time I've smoothed out all of them, the first one started moving and the Super Shiny starts to run. And we don't want to flash cure Super Shiny because it will affect the shine. It won't look as shiny. So I like to use the Skinny Jimmy to just smooth the surface out. If I feel like I need to, I can then also buff the surface if I feel like it's still looking a little bit uneven, or maybe parts of it are looking a little bit too bulky for my liking. I can then just file certain areas and then Super Shiny over the top for that really smooth finish. So I'm just going to flip it upside down for a few seconds, which is exactly what I would do on a client, and then flip it back over and just make sure that I'm happy with that. Maybe just add a little bit more in if there's still a bit of a dip somewhere. Okay, right, I am going to put that in. Stop faffing. And I'm putting it in. Right, while that one finishes curing, I'm going to make a start on these ones here. So for these ones I've used, I think on this brown one, I used Can You Dig It, which I did not get out. There it is. Which is this, it's like a milk chocolate brown, but alternatively, you can see they're a little bit different, but Drizzle is so nice. If you want just a little bit of a, you can't even really see the shimmer on it once it's fully done, but it's just beautiful. It just brings a little bit of like life to the Tortie. This one I used Farm Fresh again, so... but I will just quickly unglove one of my hands because I do have Drizzle. Actually, I'll unglove both because I've got Drizzle on both hands, but one has amber amber Tortie. One has sheer amber over the top and the other one does not. Hopefully you can see because there is some like black mixed in with this. But so on this one, this is drizzle, but with the sheer amber. And I don't know if it's going to come, I think it is coming off on camera. Obviously I've got the black in there, but the base colour is just drizzle with nothing on. So you can really see the difference that layering that sheer amber over the top of the drizzle has made to the overall finish of the nail. So play around with them, because if you've got like a colour that is not quite warm enough for a client, or what I'd really like to try that I've not tried yet is the sheer black over like a red or a purple, to see if I can kind of make it a little bit darker without having to mix something that I can just layer it over the top. So I can't wait to see your creations and what you all come up with. Now I can't get my glove back on. Right, so there we go. That is our first Tortie. That, I don't know if you can see, it's still slightly uneven. If I was doing this on a client, I'd probably cleanse it and then give it a little buff with foamy. If it's a little bit uneven, I can just file slightly and then I would top coat. But just so that you have got the idea. And I'm actually just thinking that, I think I actually got that wrong. I think I'd actually done sheer brown on that one, on the demo, because now I'm looking at it thinking this one looks way more orange. So this is the one I did sheer amber on, and then this is it with sheer brown. So you hopefully you can see the difference, that this one is pulling a lot more orange than this one, which has toned down the orange a little bit and giving it that more kind of amber brown look to it. I also think a red tortoiseshell would also look unbelievable. I think the new provocative could look really good, and then layer over the, depending again what kind of tone you want to pull out, either go for the sheer brown or the sheer amber. Tina says Golden Kitty makes a beautiful base too. It absolutely does. So do not forget your kitties when you get these JimmyGels, because they layer beautifully over the kitties. Philippa, one of our BAs, and we've got a reel coming out on that, she's done sheer black JimmyGel over Ice Kitty. Oh my god, it's amazing. It looks unbelievable. So I think because we've got these two here, I think I am going to go ahead and I'm going to do one with the base of drizzle, because I mean, why not? It is a beauty of a colour. Right, so we have our drizzle. I'm going to give that a little bit of a swirl so it's nice and fluid again, so I can get it nice and sheer and even. So I'm going to apply, so this is your technique if you want to apply this over the top of your finish filed nail. This technique I found a little bit more tricky to get to grips with, but as I say, I am that person that likes to encase things into the structure, so for me these techniques don't come as easy. So I did have some help from Charmaine Baumber, our one of our BAs, and her techniques work great. So that is what I'm going to be that was my influence for this technique. So I'm curing that, and then I'm going to go in with a layer of the JimmyGel. So because it's already brown, I'm not going to go with brown because it's just going to make it more brown, and I want to pull it more to that amber brown that you would expect for a Tortie. So I'm going to go over with the sheer amber like I've done on my nails. And what I'm also going to need for this step is Please Be Seated again. So again, that red brown. And I want to have this out ready because we're going to put this into the uncured layer of the sheer amber JimmyGel. So the technique is different for this one. I'm going to take my sheer amber and apply that over. Can you see the difference that that has made? And because we've only got a thin layer of drizzle underneath, it really picks up the amber tones in the JimmyGel. Beautiful. Right, I'm going to pop that in to cure. No, I'm not. You can tell which technique I've been doing more. So I'm going to take, hopefully that wasn't in for too long, that it's just ruined my, it was in there for too long. Right. Right, do you know what? We'll start again because I've got another, see, always have a spare. Always have a spare because you never know what's going to happen. So we'll try that again, shall we? And I will concentrate this time and not cure the JimmyGel. Right, let's very quickly get drizzle on. So nice and sheer, but even. You want to try and get that coverage, although it is transparent, get it as smooth as you can. And yes, I'm curing that layer, I'm not curing the next layer. Oh well. I mean, that is just the sort of thing you would do with a client, isn't it, really? You're like busy chatting away and then you realise you've got carried away and put the nail in the lamp too soon. Right, while that is in there, let's have a look and see if there are questions. I think I might have actually caught up. Let's have a look. So Autumn Lane Beauty said the amber and the blue look quite similar. I'm guessing you mean the brown, or is it the lighting? So yeah, when you look at them, where have I put them? When you look at them side by side, they are quite similar. I think you can see maybe that this one is a little bit more yellow. This one has got a little bit more darkness and it is slightly more brown. I would say when you really notice the difference between these is when they're on the nail rather than on a clear tip. I would say that's kind of where they really shine individually. Lenore, who did a live last night on glitter gels, which was amazing, by the way. If you haven't watched that, definitely go back and watch it. She's done a tortoiseshell, which again will be posted on like Elegance UK, and she's not used any base colours. She's just used the sheer JimmyGels and done the patches of the colour with the buttercream, and she's used sheer brown only, and it looks so beautiful. It's a really nice, like soft sheer tortoiseshell. A really, really nice option if you've got someone that is kind of on the fence and they're thinking about giving it a go, but maybe they're used to more kind of soft, neutral colours. So I'm going to stop talking now and I'm going to apply my sheer amber JimmyGel, and I'm not going to cure it. I'm going to take my number 2 stylus again, and I'm going to take some of that Please Be Seated, and I'm going to start doing those patches but in the uncured JimmyGel. And if you find it easier and you find that the stylus is not really your friend, you can also use a little brush and pat it in. I tend to find, for some reason, some days I like the stylus and some days I like the brush. I'm sure everyone has the same problem. Sometimes things just go better with one way or the other, even if you normally do it with one particular tool. So I'm just going to splotch that on there. I want a little bit more coverage down at the bottom there. Again, you want to make sure that these are kind of coming off the nail as well, and they're not just smack bang in the middle, because it looks more natural, like you would get in an actual Tortie nail. So maybe just a tiny bit in the middle, and then I'm going to put that in to cure. So we'll pop that in there. I'm going to pop that away, and then I'm going to do another layer of sheer amber, and this time I'm going to do our black tie. So this time I'm going to put it into the uncured gel. Right, let's have a look and see. Are there any other questions that I have missed? Autumn Lane Beauty, will they be sold as a set or just separate? So I believe that you're outside of the UK, so it will very much depend on your distributor. They don't come in a pack, so whereas like you get the buttercream collections, the glitter gel collections, and they come in actual packs, these do not, they come individually. So it would be up to each individual distributor basically as to whether they choose to put bundles together or not. Right, I'm going to pop that on there, and then again I'm going to remember that I am not going to cure this layer. Right, I'm just going to apply a layer over again, and I think you'll really be able to see the difference on this one, because this one I've used the amber. The other brown one I've done on a demo tip has been with sheer brown, and although it's a different brown underneath, they're not that dissimilar that it would make as much of a difference. So again, I'm just going to splotch that black on. So when I'm using the brush, I kind of use the end rounded part of the brush and kind of push it on, and then I twist it and use the side of the brush just to kind of push dense parts out, and it just creates a bit more of an irregular kind of natural looking shape, natural effect. Just put a little bit through the middle. And as always, the key is knowing when to stop. So I am going to stop and I am going to put it in the lamp. So I'm going to pop that away, and then that is basically it. So depending again on how uneven your surface is, you can choose to either just go in with super shiny, or you can go in with a layer of Skinny Jimmy to smooth it out before you apply that. But because we've not built any structure, I would say it adds maybe a little bit of extra thickness compared to if you were going to be using a buttercream, for example, because buttercream's obviously super thin. So make your structure the kind of thickness that you would do if you were going to apply a glitter gel over the top. So just a little bit thinner than normal, and you should find that you can create a really nice tortoiseshell on that top surface without it adding bulk. Because of course the last thing we want is bulky looking nails. So I'm actually just going to go straight in with super shiny on this one. Because I'm just doing the one nail. But you saw on the last one how I did it with the Skinny Jimmy. And again, you can, if you want to, you can cleanse it, give it a little bit of a buff, get it extra smooth, and then apply your top coat over that. So I'm not going to worry too much about the surface smoothness on that one, because it's really just a demo for the technique. But we'll get that in there and get that curing. And I can't wait to show you the difference actually between this one and the one that we've just done, because I think you'll really be able to see the difference in the two techniques. And would you believe it's 10 to 5 already? I cannot believe where that time has gone. Highland nail training, sorry I missed the start. Is the first layer please be seated? On the one that we're just doing now, the first layer was drizzle, the base layer. I'm assuming that's what you mean. But you could absolutely use Please Be Seated. The possibilities are endless. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I think I'm pretty much caught up. I'll just wait for that one to cure. There we go. So hopefully you can see the difference between this one had the is Can You Dig It with the sheer brown over the top, and it's very much a brown tortoiseshell, whereas this one we've done drizzle underneath, so similar kind of tone of brown but with a slight shimmer, and we've used the sheer amber underneath, and it's definitely brought out more of those warm orangey tones rather than it just being a brown Tortie. I love it. Right, let's give that a little cleanse. Does anyone have any questions before I leave you all? When I do leave, please don't go anywhere, because we have Connie up at 5 o'clock and she is going to be showing us some super cute autumn nail art. She's going to be using the new Dare to Indulge collection, so if you've got that collection you're going to be inspired, and even if you haven't got that collection you're still going to be inspired, because everything that Connie does is just so amazing nail art wise. Oh, I didn't cleanse that one. Don't forget to, if you're going to order today, don't forget to do it. Oh, I didn't top coat this one, did I? I was like, why is it not as shiny? I didn't top coat it. Yeah, don't forget to get your order in by midnight if you want to take advantage of the online trade show. The code is PRO20. Debbie says, love this, Joe. I'm now going to rob a bank after already ordering this week. Well, you know, please don't do anything illegal. We cannot be held responsible for your actions. Oh dear. Right. Well, I hope you have all enjoyed the shimmy jimmies, the sheer jimmies. Again, we have sheer amber, sheer brown, sheer black, which I definitely haven't had enough time to play with yet, and I am excited to use it more. And then the sheer sparkle, which I think everyone's going to love, especially coming up to the C word. Launch on Friday at 6 PM for orders, and they will begin dispatching from next Monday. Okay, so set your alarms, 6 o'clock Friday evening. If you are not in the UK, you'll need to just check with your local distributor to see when they are available to order. But if you're in the UK or Ireland and you order directly from us, Friday 6 PM is the day and the time. So thank you so much for your time. I hope you've enjoyed this live. If you've joined late, I will save it to the Ellie UK page so that you can watch it back anytime. Enjoy Connie in about 5 minutes, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye.